Hi, my name is Mario Leone, and welcome to the Voices of Victory channel. I'm going to give you something very practical today that you can actually follow. This is Miro. We are going to do what's called a granular habit increase. This is for people that have difficulty with their habits. When they're trying to generate a new behavior, you have to understand that action creates evidence. But what tends to happen is our nervous system gets in the way. And when our nervous system actually gets in the way, that stops us from taking any type of action because we fall to the level of our nervous system. So with this system here, granular habit increase, it's going to help you from start to finish develop a new habit. And we're going to develop a new habit in a very small way. Now I'm using Miro as a means to do this. So we're dealing with exercise, maybe anxiety. You could have those as a part of your tools here. Miro is free, and you can drag out one of these little post-it notes. You can drag them out from right here. And, just for example, I click here and just simply drag one out. I can click on it and hit delete, just as equal. Now, if you are one of the 3 emotional types that I've spoken about in this particular episode, you can visit that here. You can watch that and then come back to this actual video, because then you could figure out how you could incorporate some of your emotions into these routines. But no further ado, let's just go ahead and get started and understand that this has a purpose to get you into a new habit in a practical way. This works, and it works very practically. So the very first habit we want to introduce is nutrition. And we're dealing with nutrition. Now, again, this is for people that have difficulty with working on their habits. So the very first nutrition habit that we're going to increase granularly is we're going to do 1 nutrition item a week. Just 1. Now, that being said, you can do 1 apple, for example. Now, if you do this 1 apple, you want to put it visually on the counter the night before. Okay, now why on the counter? Because it's a visual cue. You have to be able to see it. Muhammad Ali, he didn't like running, so he put his sweats at the foot of his bed. That was a visual cue, a message to go run. So we're going to introduce 1 nutritional item a week. And we're going to put that 1 apple visually on the counter the night before. And when you wake up and you actually see it, that'll be the first thing that you go to. The second thing is movement. We are going to do literally a 5-second plank, and we are going to do it 3 times a day. Okay, now what will trigger that? What will trigger that is if you're watching either a commercial on YouTube, right? Or on the phone. You can put the phone on speaker, and you can do a 5-second plank. So 1 behavior is going to trigger another. That's the fun part about this. Now, if you don't want to do it on the phone, that's fine. Find another trigger of some sort. But it could be 3 times a day during commercials. Every time a commercial comes, you can just do a plank. Think of that as your signal, your cue to go from there. Now, in terms of mindset, you're going to do, when the moment you wake up, you bypass your device and write down 1 thing you are grateful for. Okay? Once you do that, what's the cue for that? Right? When your alarm goes off, get up and write. And bypass your phone. Move right past your phone and just go straight to writing. Avoid the technology and just go straight to paper. Write it down immediately. Whatever you do after that, you do after that. But go straight to it. Start training yourself that when you have option A, that you have the choice to go to option B and not run the impulse pattern back to option A, going towards your phone instead of going towards gratitude. Because you are going to run the same pattern over and over again, and you want to train yourself in small ways, gentle ways, to switch the pattern to the new behavior. It's all about behavioral replacement. You want to replace that behavior, but you need some kind of message or visual cue or some kind of signal that's going to prompt you to go and do that. It's very important. Now, when you are dealing with routines, you're trying to create new routines, So let's say the routine is actually sleep. Your body, in regards to sleep, works really well when it comes to a schedule. So what you're going to do is for 1 week, you are going to decrease bedtime by 5 minutes. Okay? So each day you're going to go to sleep 5 minutes earlier. It's as simple as that. So you can do these, on different days of the week. You can take one of these and run it all week long. If you want to do that. If you want to take nutrition and run it all week long and you just swap out your apple, not a problem. If you want to do movement, you can do your 5-second plank. You can do it all week. You can do that. You can start that habit. Your mindset, same thing. You could do all of these. You could do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. You could do that, and you can give yourself, a couple days off. That's fine. But getting into that routine is consistency, being consistent. Now, something I want to share with you is that action creates evidence. And that evidence is learning and adjusting. Okay? So when you do one of these, it creates evidence. Now, why do we care about evidence? Why do we care? Because evidence creates confidence. And that makes your identity stronger. Okay? Just like that. So you can see that this is very straightforward and easy to do. So my challenge to you this week is you can take one of these or all of these, depending on who you are, and run them for a week straight. All right? So your goal would literally be 1 week straight. You're going to run one of these. Okay? Now, if you want to mix and match them, you can. Like you're able to do like this one on one day, but it's preferable to stick to a routine. Stick to days of the week. It's good to get consistency. For example, dealing with Monday and Wednesday. Stick with 2 days. Whatever 2 days you choose or 3 days you choose, go for it. If you are the type of person to not get overwhelmed, then feel free to do all of them. If you are the type of person that you are going to go overwhelmed and your nervous system's going to go overwhelmed, choose one and run with that one. All right? That's what I'm going to tell you. When we're dealing with habit formation, it doesn't have to be big. People are under this impression like, I got to do more. I got to do this. I got to do that. If you find yourself doing 5 planks a day, you do it 3 times a day during commercials, what's going to happen is you're going to wind up doing it more anyway. Out of habit, you're going to say, okay, I already did that. I feel good. I'm going to do some more. You're going to realize you can actually bite off more than you can chew. That's the fun part. But what we want to do is form consistency. Watch the video on the 3 emotional types because of the fact that you want to incorporate emotion into those routines. There are 3 types of emotional people, and they have difficulty with creating routines and patterns because of their emotions, and this solves that problem. It really does. You're going to realize you're one of those 3, and you can solve that problem. And that's all I'm going to say on this episode. I wanted to make this a practical, functional, easy way to indoctrinate yourself with a new habit each week. You can do these on different weeks as well. This could be 1 week, a second, and so forth, until you build a total routine out of it. And that's the key. Get yourself on a schedule to the best of your ability. Challenge yourself to grow. You don't have to always do big things. Small, tiny. It's not about coming outside of your comfort zone. It's about coming to the edge and increasing it ever so slightly. That's all I'm going to say. Have a great day. See you on the next episode. Take care.